Hello and welcome to the Team Bus, the sister podcast to Beyond the Slipstream. I'm Matt. I'm here with my brother Justin. We're going to get into some cycling talk and maybe some talk about some other stuff. So this just in, I just learned from procyclingstats.com that in the 37th edition of a race called Grazia, Gracia, that is, what is it, in the Czech Republic? Where is it? Not recognizing that flag. The Gracia Orlova. That Canadian Allison Jackson took a stage win in the second stage. Stage 2, I believe. And went ahead and took the overall GC win.
Look at
Allison
that.
Jackson.
Love Ajax. Heck yeah.
Stage winner. Yeah. Allison Jackson, stage 2 winner, GC winner.
Nice.
Go Allison Jackson. In other stage racing news, I was quite happy to see two former Ineos riders taking big wins at the Tour of Turkey. First up, Elia Viviani racing for Lotto, team which desperately needs wins right now. Gets a win, gets a stage win at the Tour of Turkey, and the stage win and overall win goes to Wout recent Tour de France stage winner. I think Wout got himself a Tour de France stage 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love me some Wout. Geraint Thomas and all the old Ineos guys love that guy. So I'm always happy when I see Wout get a big GC win. But man, Allison Jackson take it. I'm ready. I got to find that now. I don't know where that
Yep.
race is, but I want to see. I like watching AJ win bike races. All right, what do you got?
So a couple of just like newsworthy items. I thought this was so cool. All right, so Jonas Vingegaard has been ramping up his preparations for the Tour de France with a series of training camps. During one of these sessions, the two-time Maillot winner crossed paths with 19-year-old amateur Paul Capel and his friends, and what happened next was nothing short of extraordinary, as Vingegaard's generosity turned their routine ride into a memory they'll never forget. The three young Frenchmen had headed to the Col de Selot in the Pyrenees for an extreme ride when they suddenly spotted Team Visma Lisa bike, spotted a Team Visma Lisa bike vehicle on the slopes. His car passed us halfway up the climb and then pulled over to the side of the road. Grisha Neerman told us that Vingegaard was about 2 minutes ahead and that we might be able to catch him because he wasn't riding very hard. We had to push nearly 400 watts to reach him, Capel continues. When we caught up, I told him it was amazing to see him and asked if it wasn't a problem whether we could ride with him. He said yes, and we ended up doing nearly his entire training ride together. How cool is that?
That is super cool. And let me just very quickly say that you are, I am assuming, quoting cyclinguptodate.com because you just
Yes, sir.
literally read off a giant quote
I
from
did.
something. So we're just going to give some credit there. Um, so cool. Unbelievable. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, that's just got to be so cool.
It
One of these
like
days, it's probably going to be when I retire. I'm going over there and I'm just going to base myself. I'm going to check into like the shittiest hostel in Monaco or Andorra or one of those countries where there's like 42 odd pro cyclists living in tiny apartments around town, and I'm just going to go out riding every day and hope to see J
just
Vine
hope just hope to
flying
catch
by
one.
one day.
Well, dude, the way you do it is you go on to Strava and figure out where their training rides are.
Right,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right, exactly.
I just
No,
like
that's so cool, so
we
cool.
talk about the fact that Jonas is this super humble guy all the time, so it's not surprising to me to hear that like he'd be cool with them riding along with him. Um, you know, I'm sure that training rides, especially if you're if it's just you and maybe one other guy, or maybe you're by yourself, or who knows what it is. I'm sure it gets pretty monotonous. So like, being able to like cut it up and with some fans, and like, of course the fans had to like keep up with him too. But I think that's just it's such a neat little story that I caught. I was like going through the news items, and I was just like, whoa, 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 what? And I went back and I was like, wow, that's so cool.
It makes me wonder, like, what the training speeds that these guys ride at are, or if there's a portion, a block of their training where they're going at like amateur speeds. Because I mean, the speeds that they go at, I have probably talked about this before, but you cannot comprehend the speed that these guys ride bikes at. Okay, I'm fit for a 54-year-old dude or whatever. I'm not like a machine or anything like that. I'm sure there's a zillion 54-year-olds out there that ride a hell of a lot faster than me. But like at my level of fitness or whatever, if I want to go out over a much shorter route than what these guys are riding, and average, even let's say 18 miles an hour, like I have to turn myself inside and out to have a prayer of hitting that kind of average speed. The pros pretty much in all races go out and average over courses that are four times as long as my dinky little 25 miler or whatever, average like 25 miles an hour, 26 miles an hour. That's a speed like I am not strong enough myself to, if I was on a completely flat road, to just like start riding my bike and get it up to the highest gear and then get myself up to 25 miles per hour. I couldn't even ride that fast if I wanted to. And these guys are averaging that speeds over these crazy ass mountainous courses. It's insane how fast they ride. So for these dudes to catch up to Jonas, like it said in the quote there about how many watts they had to push to get up to him. But I wonder if in that situation, does a Jonas Vingegaard say, but I only got 2 hours in this ride. Like I'm just gonna chill for the last two. Is there that kind of is there that kind of flexibility in his training regimen, or is it when a rider of that caliber goes out, does he always just have like a DS in his ear riding alongside him, talking to him about like, here's what we're trying to do and blah blah blah. And like, I mean, it's his job. It's
Yeah, I
like
mean it's
what is that like? I
definitely
want to know.
different. It's definitely different. But yeah, like I just chapo to Jonas for being a great dude, and cutting it up with the fans.
Absolutely, love him, love him. He is a unique character in the cycling firmament.
We spoke earlier today about UAE, and Juan Ayuso was lauding, and this is I also got from Cycling Up to Date. Juan Ayuso lauded Tadej Pogacar as cycling's Lionel Messi, comparing him to the football great Lionel Messi, and
I
his
love that.
quote being
I love
his
that.
yeah, right, his quote being, "It's not normal for someone to be that good."
Didn't we just read another one of these like 2 weeks ago? Somebody saying like there's something wrong with it. Like let's just hope that the not normal and something wrong with this does not at some point in the future become the dreaded. I'm not even going to say it. Um, yeah, I haven't heard that comparison made, but I think it's a really good one.
Hmm. I do. I
And
agree.
we were
I
just talking
very
about
much
how
agree.
Juan Ayuso was so good looking. He's got such a good handle on the English language, and now you're going to tell me he's like an incredible author of metaphors. I
Yeah.
mean, is there anything that Juan Ayuso can't do? He wins bike races. He's got just the killer sharp commentary. Pogacar is cycling's Lionel Messi. Is he the absolute greatest of all time? Mm, it's up for debate. Is Lionel Messi better than Pele? I don't know. Maybe who knows? But an
I have
an apt
no way
comparison.
qualified to comment on that.
Yeah.
The Giro starts this week. Couple of Giro topics. I'd love to go through the start list, which I did actually throw in the notes if you want to look at it with me. But there was a quote on Cycling Up to Date from uh, from Jan Tratnik. Okay, we shouldn't be afraid of anybody. All right, Primoz Roglic and Jan Tratnik are confident of bringing Slovenia more Grand Tour success in 2025. So obviously, Jan and Primoz, former teammates of Visma, are on Red Bull Boro right now. We know the Giro is a big target for him for this year. Um, I had said earlier about do we really is Remco really in that conversation with those guys? I think this is going to be an interesting Giro because I think UAE and Red Bull, it's going to be the tale of those two teams going into this. But that being said, we can go over some of these names, some of these teams here real quick. So I'm just going to go over the ones that kind of stand out to me. So with Red Bull, all right, we've got Giovanni Alati, Nico Denz having a big year, Jai Hindley, former Giro winner, um, Danny Martinez, Gianni Moscon, Julia Pellizzari, Primos, and Jan. All right, great team. All right,
Strong.
very strong team. Let's see, what else? One?
There's not a lot of competition in this race, bro.
Yeah, I'm going through it. I'm like kind of going. I'm looking for the GC contenders.
I mean, if you just go team by team on this list you have, I mean, there's nobody from Decathlon. There's nobody from Pulte, Visit Malta, Bahrain. Peo Bilbao is not beating Primoz Roglic in the Giro.
Nope.
Israel Premier Tech. Derek G might give him a run,
Yeah.
but
Tom Pidcock is my next one that I see where I'm like,
yeah,
okay, this is somebody that could do something.
maybe that would be interesting. I'd like to see that battle happen. Ciccone is on hot form right now, but Giulio Ciccone ain't beating Geraint Thomas in the. I mean, beating Primoz Roglic in the Giro. Um,
It
Alpecin
doesn't.
Deceuninck
Yeah,
doesn't
they
have it.
don't look like they're
That's a
even.
sprinting team. Caden Groves is going to looking to mop up sprints. Jaco, Luke Plapp, nah.
No.
Um, Intermarché Wanty, no chance. Ours aren't Ineos, Arnsman, Bernal, no. Neither one of those guys is beating Primos.
We know that
Carapaz on
we know that
EF, Hugh
Richard
Carthy, no.
Carapaz is definitely, this is a big target for him. So I mean, he's one to watch for sure.
That's true. He hasn't been doing anything this spring, so I guess okay,
This is a
we'll put him. He'll
big
put
target for
so
him.
so we got Primos, we got Pidcock, we got Carapaz so far that making our eyebrows go up. Christian Scaroni from XDS Astana had that really good early part of the spring, but I don't think he's a Grand Tour guy. Um, Roman Bardet, he's not going to win the Giro, but maybe he gets a stage win. Like was it? No, he got the opening stage of the Tour de France last year. Um, I'm not seeing anybody on Visma Lisa bike. Simon Yates,
So
is he the leader?
that's an
I
like
mean,
interesting team here. Okay,
yeah, it's
real
gotta
quick.
be Simon Yates.
Yeah, you figure it's got to be Simon Yates. You know,
They're sending Wout to get stage wins to get his confidence back.
that's got to be. And I don't know.
There's
Yeah,
no
I mean,
Vanderpool here. There's no Pogacar here. Is
yeah,
Mads Pedersen here?
yes,
Pedersen is here.
yes. Mads
Where's
Pedersen is
Lidl?
there.
Where's Lidl Trek? How did I miss him?
Top. It's like second row, third in.
Yeah, that's right. So
Sudal doesn't have anybody that's going to beat Primos. Here we go,
no chance.
UAE. So this, man, this is damn. This is like, I mean, like, okay, when you look at
This
this
team is
team versus
ridiculous.
all the teams we just looked at, how do you not look at UAE and say that they're going to win? Listen to this. So Igor Arieta, but here's where it starts. Juan Ayuso. All right,
He's
then
the leader, right? Ayuso's got to be
it
the
has
leader,
to
right?
be, has to
Yeah.
be.
Okay.
Filippo Bernoncini is with them, but you've got riding in support Itzhak Del Toro, Rafael
It's
Micah,
ridiculous.
Brandon McNulty, Jay Vine, Adam Yates. How do they not win? They've got three guys
Insane.
that could
Del
win on
Toro,
that same
Micah,
team.
McNulty, Vine, Yates. Bam, 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 bam. All backing up Juan Ayuso, who has already proven himself multiple times this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's your battle. It's Primos versus Ayuso, the old versus the young, and
Well,
I can't wait.
well, and here's the thing. If you look at if you're comparing the two teams, like I mean, you have to say the UAE has the edge, not just in age, but in I just think that they've got more quality riders that are riding in support.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. They got the team. I mean, that is I would say that's the team to beat. I don't know. I'd put him on even money, personally.
um,
Like Ayuso and,
I'm
and
I'm
Roglic.
glad to see Milan Frentan is coming over or is going to be at the Giro. He's had a big year. Who else?
What about Michael Storer? That's going to be an interesting storyline to follow.
Yep, he's there.
Incredible
They have
form.
a they have a nice looking
He
team.
dispatched them
Storer,
very well last week.
Stork, Vissard, your boy Larry Warbass.
Yeah, Larry.
Yeah, that's a team. That's definitely a team. Um,
You knew
yeah,
who's not
I
going to
mean,
win. You knew who's not going to podium. Kofidis. All right.
all right, all right, all right, all right. So we're looking forward to that. The Vuelta Femenina started today. Um, I'm sure we'll get into it later on down the road. But this race is just chock full of superstars. Obviously, FDJ has Demi Vollering, Juliette Labousse, um, Ali Wollaston, all there. Let's see. SD Works has Anna van der Bregen, Misha Bradenbold. Uh,
Famke
yep,
Heritza,
Hereta.
Helena Cicchini. Yeah, that's a good team. Famke
Uh,
Marcus.
UAE's got ooh, no, no
Yeah, there's no
ELB.
ELB on that team.
Interesting.
That's a bummer.
That is a
Lidl
bummer.
Trek
Little
looking
Trek,
strong
who
with
actually they won today.
an entire team. Is there any wonder that they won today with a team like that? Norsgaard, Dignan, Fisher Black, Anna Henderson, Rihanna Marcus, Ellen Van Dyke, Sharon Van Anroy. Like every one of
Yeah,
those,
that's a just
incredible.
a strong team.
EF Education, we got Dream Care Ball. She was lighting it up last week. Kristen
American Kristen
Faulkner.
Faulkner's on there.
hmm
Let's see.
Chloe and
Canyon
Katsia for
Shram's got
Canyon SRAM.
Cassia. Chloe Digert's going to be there.
Neve.
Neve. Let's see. Uh,
Mavi
nobody.
Garcia, the perpetual also Ron.
Liv
We got any
Alula
Puck?
Jacobs.
We got
No.
have we got Puck? No Puck. Puck's probably
Mm,
taking a big training break after her spring campaign.
I would assume. Um,
She'll be
damn.
she'll be there at the
V-
tour.
Visma's got a Visma's got a team too. Marianne Voss, Pauline Ferrand Prevot, Marianne
Interesting.
Brunel,
I
Victoria
thought
Oda.
I
I
thought
can't.
PFP was like focused on the tour.
Well, a lot of these riders ride all three of these.
Yeah, and I guess this is also like yeah, because it's only
Remember, it's only
it's
a
not it's
week.
not 3 weeks. Yeah, yeah.
Um, let's see. Cat
Yeah, that's
Ferguson.
gonna be cool seeing Voss and Ferran Prevot in action together. Hell yeah. Yeah, that
Um,
Movistar team with the Anna Lippert, Marlon
yeah,
Roysa, Kat Ferguson. That's gonna
yeah,
be that's gonna
that's a
be
good team.
fun to watch.
Uh, Juliana Van de Velde at AG Insurance, probably their best rider. Let's
Yeah, that
see.
Justine Gakiri took a win earlier this season in some 1 day race. I remember that. Um,
Picnic
Th-
Postinel, uh,
Thalita de Jong got a
Ninka Vinka, Georgie, Pfeiffer Georgie.
that's definitely the best name in all of the pro Peloton, men's or women's. Ninka Vinka.
Ninka
There's no
Vinka, I
better
do.
name.
I love her,
It's
dude.
it's
She's
gonna it's
really
gonna be
good.
years before somebody comes along with with a better name than that. Ninka Vinka. Absolutely love it.
Uh, let's see. What else? Who else? Who else? Mm,
I'd say not a whole lot in the rest of those, like 6 or 7 teams.
yeah, there's definitely
Any
some
Americans?
lower level
Megan
teams.
Megan Jastrab is the last American. She's on the Picnic Post team. Human Powered Health has got Lily.
You have a there's a on the Enicat CM team. You
Oh
have
yeah,
Nicole Steinmetz as well, an American rider.
wait.
So yeah, no, it should be interesting. It should definitely be interesting. Good, should be a good week.
Yeah, we got
Should be a good
a
week
lot
of
of good
racing.
racing ahead of us in the next couple of weeks.
Oh
Plenty
yeah,
plenty of stuff to watch. It's gonna be awesome. You wanna get into these last couple of items because we're getting up against it.
sure. I'm just gonna skip mine. I'd like to. I'd love to hear what you have to say about the new Wu Tang because I see that you did make a note of that.
I have listened to it a couple of times, and you were right on the money with that. Just right back into it, like 30 years has not gone by at all.
Yeah,
Um, so many just great hooks. That woman that they got in the mix that you were comparing to Lauren Hill, she's fantastic. She only gets like 2 songs, but
yeah.
they're
Track four
fantastic.
though. Track four is just it's so good. Track two Mandingo, and I can't remember what the name of track four
Yeah,
is.
yeah, Mandingo is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
that whole record legit as hell.
All right. And what is the assessment?
Just a quick little movie recommendation. Did you see Ex Machina?
Yes.
Cool movie. It's got Dom Hall, Gleason, um, and Oscar Isaac and Alicia Vikander. And she famously plays like the android in that movie. Um, that that sort of romances Dom Hall Gleason. Anyways, um, this movie, The Assessment, it's a sort of dystopian future movie, and there's this couple, and I'm not going to remember the names of the actors, but they live in this like cool, like badass, amazingly designed house um, on this like craggy outcrop of rocks next to some giant body of water, and you don't really know much about anything. They have a couple of shots where they flash to the sky and you see something that's like looks man-made happening in the sky, but you're not exactly sure. Like could be some kind of surveillance or some kind of dome or something. You see something going on up there, and clearly you can tell this is like in the future, and there's something weird. And Alicia Vikander shows up at their house, and she's kind of dressed in this like sort of like traditional way. She looks like an Amish woman or something, like kind of the way she's dressed, and she's there from the government. And she's you kind of learn that in the future, people can't just have babies. Like if you want a baby, you have to apply to it from the government, and then like the government makes a baby and gives it to you, and then you raise it as a child. Like that's what you have to do to have a child in this modern world. You don't know why. It's just like that's just the sort of condition upon this thing. And but before you can get a child, you have to be obsessed. You have to be assessed. Thus, the assessment. And Alicia Vikander plays the assessor sent by the government to assess this couple's fitness to be parents. And she does this assessment by acting as though she were a child for extended periods of time. And she causes absolute chaos for these people. And it's like super heavy and intense. And it's got this crazy ending that like gives a killer payoff. It's a wild movie. Big recommendation.
I'm in.
And
I'm in.
coming on her ex coming off of that Ex Machina performance, like these two performances are of a piece with each other, and it's sort of an interesting little niche that she occupies in in the genre world of being able to play these sort of
She's
transformative
been in a
characters.
couple of things that I didn't expect to like and liked because of her. She was the in the like the most recent iteration of the Tomb Raider where she played the main
Yeah, that's right.
character,
Yeah, she
like
did play Lara
opposite,
Croft.
well, not opposite, but in her, honestly, the whole reason that I watched that movie is Dominic,
West,
what can I think of it? Dominic from The Wire, McNulty's in it.
Dominic West,
Dominic
Dominic
West, thank you.
West.
Um, Plays her dad, and
Oh,
I'm a mark for
interesting.
that guy. Like I could watch him in anything. I think.
I'll have to take a peek at that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's one of those movies that's like you could take or leave the movie itself, but she does an admirable job, in something that I don't, it's a popcorn movie. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I,
Hmm.
I asked my friend went and saw the new Marvel Thunderbolts the other day, and I asked my typical question that I ask, when somebody goes and sees a movie that I'm like, I'm iffy about whether or not I'm going to go to a theater and see it. I always ask, I'm like, how many times did you check your phone while you were watching the movie? And he was like, I didn't
Right.
check my phone once. And I was like, oh, that's a good sign. Because to me, it's like if you're looking at your watch, if you're looking at your phone, like that means you're not really being entertained and you're not pulling all the way through. But it's getting pretty good reviews, and so to me, the judge, I've stopped judging movies on like whether they're good or bad based on a lot of like the normal factors, and to me, I really base what a movie that I like on, was I entertained? Like, did it hold my attention? Was I entertained? Because in no matter what, like a movie is someone's art. Like it's like it may be panned critically, but like the people that made it were really proud of that thing. You know what I mean? There's occasionally
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
you'll hear of people being like, that movie sucked, and making it sucked, and everything that it was around it
Yeah.
sucked. But in most cases, when people take time and effort to make a movie, like it's not for me to go shit on it. You know what I mean? I try to find something good in everything. And that's one of those movies. It's like, it's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it was entertaining, and she did a good job in it. And I thought she did an admirable job considering, the shoes that she has to fill, on the video game side. That's an extremely popular character in series. But, Angelina Jolie was the last person that played that. Those are pretty big ass shoes to fill.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I I don't know. I For me, as far as being entertained goes, I just feel like I have such a finite amount of time to ingest movies that it is a very rare occasion when I'm just like scrolling and I'm like, huh, this looks interesting. I think I'll watch it. Almost every single thing that I watch, I have at the very least some kind of a recommendation or conversation that I've had with somebody about it before I'll watch it. And as a result, and most of the stuff I watch is stuff that has been on my mental list because of what my critics have been saying about it. I very rarely see a movie when it first comes out. So most everything I watch, I've had a little bit of lead time, so I've already got it bouncing around my head. And if there's a movie that comes out and my critics are just universally like, this thing's a piece of crap, it's like, I'm never going to watch it. You know what I mean? Like, it's never going to happen or almost never going to happen. I'm just, I create a negative association with certain movies that are like sort of universally regarded as this thing sucks. And so it's very rare that I would just like stumble upon something and be like, huh, what's this? I think I'll
Well,
watch this. And
I will cite two examples where one where I listened and one where I couldn't listen, or I didn't listen, was in the comic book genre. They did that Madam Web movie with Dakota Johnson.
it's
Like,
supposed to be so
didn't
bad.
did you watch it?
I've heard that thing is just an
Oh, I
absolute
didn't watch it.
horror
I didn't
show,
watch it.
train
Like,
wreck.
everything that I heard about that movie is just that it was just a disaster. But
Yes.
I also heard similar things about the new Captain America movie, and I watched that, and I honestly really liked it. Like,
Interesting, because I heard that the new Captain America was a piece of trash too. You talking about the one with Anthony Mackie?
yes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I heard that. The Red
but
Hulk, the one with the
I
Red
was
Hulk.
quite entertained by that movie, and it's one of those things too where it's like I don't know if I like it because you know there's probably a couple reasons. I mean, I just liked it in general. I thought it was well paced. I mean, there was definitely parts that I had problems with, but you know, like Black Panther, whenever, look, I'm sorry, whenever you have an African American as a main character and being the hero in a tentpole type movie, like, I'm all for that. Like, I'll watch that every day. Um, and it highlighted that character over the last couple of years between the Disney Plus series and this has highlighted some glaring inequalities that we have in the United States. And I just think it was I think it's good to have those movies and to at least give them a chance to breathe. You know what I mean? Now, mind you, you have the Madam Webs of the world, which are just everybody and their mother says there's absolutely nothing redeeming for it. Like, of course, I'm going to skip something like that. But, the ones that are on the fence, I'd like to form my own opinion rather than just listen to what somebody else has to say about it. Because sometimes I just, I've watched a hell of a lot of bad movies that I love.
That's very open-minded of you. I commend you, but I'll have to take your word for it as far as the Red Hulk, Anthony Mackie, Captain America movie goes, because I can promise you I won't be seeing that one. We are up against it. We're going to cap it there. Wonderful podcasting with you as always. We will be seeing you this coming weekend with coverage of the Vuelta España Femenina and the first weekend of the Giro d'Italia.
Hell yeah.
And our top 5 movies about mom. Until then, Ale.
Ale.
The Teen Bus is part of the Beyond the Slipstream family and is produced by Harperama. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, and tell your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Ale!